For all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you.
Ooh.
Hey guys, this is the FANA Fan Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Topliss, and for all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. James Colliver to the rescue. Tonight, we're delighted to be joined by former Sheffield Wednesday, Halifax Town, Worksop Town, and current Retford United manager.
You just pick a letter of the alphabet, Topliss. Pick a letter of the alphabet. I'll have played for him.
How are you, mate? Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Again, thank you for coming on, Ryan.
Pleasure.
One of the things we'd like to start off with is, so how did you get into football? How did it all start for you?
Oh, great question. I think I came out the womb kicking, if I'm being brutally honest. So when I was a bit of a gooey story, get your tissues out. But when I was 18 months, my mum and dad separated, and my dad took me on. My dad was only 19 and a half at the time, so there was no contraception in Handsworth, obviously, in Sheffield. So dad took me on, and as a young adult, fighting two jobs and doing everything he could, and I guess the only thing that we could do that cost nothing was football. So we spent every hour that God sent, morning, noon, night, summer, spring, winter, snow, whatever it was, on Alfreton school field. So that's how I got into football, really. I think it was always destined to be. I don't think my dad, being a young single man, would have let me be a tap dancer or a ballerina or a gymnast. So it was football all the way, gents, because it's the only thing he knew, really, as well.
So it started quite early on. And when did you realise that this is what you wanted to do? You want to progress as high as you can, make a career of it?
Yeah, I think it was realised quite early on that, God, I shouldn't really say this, but I'm only going on what people have said, by the way. So don't think that, the nickname. I'm not always massive, but I was 5-year-old playing for the under-8. So I don't know if that's because my dad threatened the manager, but no, it was Jass's dad, actually. So maybe get Jass's dad on and he'll be able to tell you. But yeah, I was 5 playing for the under-8. So I think it was seen quite early on that there was some sort of talent there anyway.
Well, that's sort of one of the questions Jazz put to Jake to say. Why was it called the Massive?
Oh yeah, it stems from Sheffield Wednesday. It was the school holidays, and I'd signed my contract, and it was a boiling hot day. And I think to be honest, I was playing. It was like a reserve team game, and I was only 15 at the time, so I was a little bit, how should we say, a bit naive. And I started the game actually. And I think I scored. I think it was Burnley. It might be in Halifax. It was Mark Lillis at the time, I think, who was manager. So if you look back that up, it's either Halifax or Burnley or something like that. And we played him in a bit of a pre-season friendly. And obviously I'm still at school and I've got called in, which again is a great achievement. And I played 45 minutes. I got terrible blisters on my feet. So I've come off and it's a boiling hot day, and being, a little bit wet behind the ears and naive, I've sort of got a football and took my shoes, took my boots off, took my socks off, took my pads off, and then for some unbeknown reason decided to take my shirt off, thinking I was on Nissy Beach. And I put a ball behind me and laid there while this sort of reserve first team sort of game's going off. And the next minute, before I know it, Chris Waddle ran like, "Yo, I'm massive time. Who the fuck do you think you are?" Am I allowed to swear? But I will. Sorry, kids. Fuck it. And then that was it. It was massive from there on out. So yeah, Chris Waddle was one of the main people that called it. And then it got into sort of the YTSs and the young pros, and Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I couldn't go anywhere without being called Massive. I don't think some people still know my first name. It's just a nickname that stuck, but it could have been given by worse people than I think either Shrevesy, Wads and Ron Atkinson. But yeah, it was just, I was just naive. Don't get me wrong. I was honoured to be playing at that level at such a tender age, but I didn't really realise that I should have kept my stuff on and stood there, or I don't know. But yeah, a little bit of naivety. Start of the spiral, I think.
So, was it Sheffield Wednesday the first club you played for, signed for?
Yeah, well, I was at Nottingham Forest, and then I got a phone call that Sheffield Wednesday were interested. So at the time, we were getting all sorts of interest, myself and my dad. from different various Premier League clubs and other clubs. And because I'd grown up with my dad and I didn't really want to leave home, as soon as Sheffield Wednesday came knocking a Premier League club, and I wouldn't have to leave home, and then I'd sort of met my first girlfriend, and it was like, oh, I don't want to go. What a fucking idiot. But I decided to stay in Sheffield and sign for Wednesday.
How did that go then? Obviously, we say home is where the heart is. How did
home is where the heart is, but it's very difficult when you're a Sheffield United fan and all your pals are Sheffield United fans. And you know, I should have left. If I'd have left home and I'd have gone to a say at Forest or Tottenham or Man City or one of the other clubs, I still fully believe that it'd have gone two ways. I'd have either gone on to play 500 Premier League games and a massively successful career, or I'd have come home with my tail in between my legs, crying every night, wanting to see my dad and my girlfriend. So, yeah, I think it was a tough time, and I'm not one of them that pulls punches and makes excuses. It's a podcast. If kids listen, if anybody else listens, you know, I'll always tell the truth, and it was a stupid mistake. To do that, not necessarily to shine for Sheffield Wednesday, but the things I did while I was a young player are sort of unforgivable, and I probably got just what I deserved, which was, you know, left under a cloud and sacked and sent down the road. So it was never a great experience. And you know, I think because I'd played football so competitively from such a young age, by the time I got the chance to be a professional, I wasn't really that bothered. But I didn't realise what a great opportunity I'd got. You know, my first season in the under-17s Premier League, I was the first player to score a hat-trick in that. Scored a hat-trick at QPR at 15, and that was in the under-18s. And, you know, suddenly you think you've made it and you don't realise how far away from making it you are. I was top scorer in the club for 2 years. I think I got 18 in 21 games first year. And then I had a successful season the season after. Like I said, I've slept and drank and a lot of since then, and I don't know where all the programs are. I'll have to look and find them out in the shirts and stuff. But yeah, I was destined for great things, but I wasn't mentally. And I think the ability now in football is that you get so looked after and mollycoddled. You're wrapped in cotton wool. At that time at Sheffield Wednesday, you know, there was nobody to turn to and nobody to talk to, and whatever was going off in your personal life, it was suck it up, you know, and get on with it. Whereas now you've got different mechanisms, you've got different people, you've got counsellors, you've got all these wonderful people, and people who've been in football as well, which really, really helps because they know what you're going through. You know, in 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, there was nothing like that. Sports psychologists, nothing. They were just sort of coming through. So again, suck it up, crack on, or fuck off, so to speak. And that's how it was, and that as the mentality was. So.
It's sort of one of them. Like you said, we have progressed massively in that area and into what we have now. Like I said, a lot of them are mollycoddled, even to the point where when they're having interviews, you know they're not being themselves because they're trained.
No, they're trained, yeah.
But sometimes, like you say, it stops them from being themselves because you know if they're going to be themselves, they're going to be front page news article week in, week out, and you do see it with some players now.
You know, you can't fart, you can't do anything. You know, every single bit of microscope is on you, and the pressure. And even back then, the pressure was there, especially being a Sheffield lad as well. And obviously at that time, being, you know, one of the best players around this area, is the pressure does mount on you to be successful, and everybody's watching you, but everybody wants you to fail as well. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings that I've had. You know, don't trust anybody, and then you're not disappointed because you confide in people and you trust people, and all the while they want you to fail. So I think my advice to any young kid is, you know, I'm sure Phil Foden would tell me otherwise, but maybe not necessarily sign for your own club. Go and experience a different city, a different culture, a different mindset, and get away from the people that potentially can pull you down and lead you astray. And that's what I didn't do. And you know, I finished up in a hell of a lot of mess with drink and drugs and gambling, and yeah, I spunked everything really. I sound like Paul Merson here, don't I? But at least I had a career. But yeah, it's what happens, and I'm not proud of it, but I see it as a learning. And you know, if I can offer any advice to anybody now, is talk to people and you know, and surround yourself with people that want the best for you, not what they want the best for them. And I think that's my biggest learning, definitely.
So on the topic as well, like you said, you got like into the drink, drugs, and gambling. What's your sort of opinion now? As you can see, football, especially at the top level, I think every second of the game, there's always some gambling sponsor, whether it's on a shirt, like we've got the Sky. But what's your thoughts on gambling being within football?
I think it's an absolute disgrace. I think, you know, I'm trying to think of the film with Will Smith and Margot Robbie. God, she's beautiful. And
Focus. Is it Focus? Focus?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah. And what they do is they train the mind for that person to pick that number.
Yep. Yes.
That's what gambling's doing. It's training.
I want to play. That's it. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's number 69 as well. My favourite number. But no. But it is, isn't it? It's training your mind to think.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it says gamble responsibly. I'll have a fiver. I've lost that. I'll chase it. 10, 15, 30. And no, I watched a brilliant documentary with Paul Merson. And he was saying, like, people are just getting sucked in, and suicide and stuff, and people that have worked so hard, parents to give the kids, you know, a fantastic future, and they finish up spending it all on people's gambling problems. No, I don't agree with it. I think it should be capped. I think you should be allowed to put £100 a month in an account. That's fine. And if you win 10 grand and you spend that £10,000, you still only lost 100 quid. I think there's got to be a limit put on gambling where, you know, unless you physically go into a betting shop, that you can spend what you want, if that makes sense. Whereas for me, I don't believe you should have an unlimited credit limit off your phone because it's so easy to pick up and do. So I think it should be capped at £100 per month. And if you lose it, you've lost 100 quid. I'd like to think that people wouldn't be as poorly and suicidal and doing the things that they do to deal with gambling habits. But if you've got the ability and the facility to go to your bank and draw out £10,000 to put on a bet in a bookmaker's, then that's your choice and you can do it. And there's a certain period of time when then bookies are open. So for me, I think there's got to be a cap on online gambling. Whereas I don't think you could ever change, you know, the pro gamblers of this world and other people that are very wealthy that go in and spend thousands of pounds on horses and dogs and everything else. So does that clear that question up?
Yeah. It certainly does.
Very good advice as well for young footballers.
Yeah, there's no winner. Although I tell a lie, I did win. Am I allowed to bet? I don't know. I'll probably get done for this, but I did win £230 the other night. I had John Fleck and Tom Cleverley to get booked in the same game at 22-1. So, but don't gamble, kids. You lose a lot more. Listen, and the good thing that they've done, which is not a good thing, but you can see your history, so you can see what you've won and what you've lost. And you know, when you start thinking them little 10s and 20s and this, what am I doing? It's a holiday.
It's
Can I just add on to that as well? Like, what's your opinion on the new adverts coming out? The avoid bet regret. What are your thoughts on that?
I've not really seen it, to be honest. I always just see Ray Winston pointing at me, which makes me go on my phone. I'm still scared of him since I actually watched Scum last night as well, and yeah, it was scary in that as well. But no, I've not seen it, chaps. If I'm being brutally honest, if you want to explain it, I'll give you my thoughts. But
it's like what you say, gamble responsibly. You know, can you afford?
It's a bag of bollocks, man. They want you to spunk your load. They don't give a shit about you. They couldn't care less.
True though. Yeah.
The more you spend, the more that they earn. The richer get richer. Simple as that. You've never seen a poor bookmaker, have you? So look at the turnover of Bet365, the Irish lady. Just see how much she's got in a bank, and then that'll tell you who the winner is. And that should stop people from gambling. Full stop. Simple as that.
So back to the career then. Who did you join once you left Wednesday?
Well, I signed for Chesterfield. I played against Hartlepool, and Kevin Randall got me on the bus and said, "Listen, we're going to offer you a contract." So I was like, "Brilliant." He said, "You know, I've had the day off, so I'd got Wednesday off, come back in Thursday." And I went out Wednesday night, and I got absolutely obliterated. And turned up for training Thursday. We did a Thursday morning session, and he basically said, "See us in the afternoon, and we'll sort your contract out, etc., etc." And I can remember they were doing a running session in the afternoon. And I've gone into the away dressing room because I was fucking still pissed. And I fucking fell asleep on the massage table. Completely gone. Absolutely gone. And then so they found me, woke me up and said, "Listen, you know, first and last chance, sort yourself out." And then my ex's my ex-girlfriend's mum then rang the club and said I was a drug addict and I was this and I was that. And, after being at Chesterfield 6 weeks on a contract, that got terminated, and I was back out on my arse. So that Chesterfield, after 6 weeks of a pro contract, ended quite quickly due to old habits and everything else. And then I came out of that, and then I went to Stockport, played for Stockport for a while. They were in the Championship at the time, and Kilner. God, that was an experience and a half. That fucking hell. I was living in Cheadle, and I think that Yapstam lived around the corner, and Jordi Cruyff around the other corner. And I was staying with this woman whose son was in the academy. I will have you put down. It's dogs. And I was staying with a woman who had a couple of kids in the academy. So, honestly, it was weird because obviously I'm playing there and the kids are in the academy and stuff. And she had this fella. And honestly, I don't know what it was with him, but he just kept coming round at night and knocking the back out of her and keeping me awake. The man had the best stamina I've ever known. And I'm sure he was just doing it on purpose just to piss me off and keep me awake. So I just got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? And honestly, guys, that was another one. I just ran away from it. I just didn't want to be a footballer anymore. I didn't care. I just completely had enough. I was staying as a professional at Stockport in a single bed with Manchester United duvets. I was like, what am I doing? Get me out of here. So I jumped on a train, didn't tell anybody, and came back to Sheffield and then signed for Paul Mitchell at Worksop that very week. Yeah.
So from Stockport to Worksop?
From Stockport to Worksop, yeah. Best decision I ever made, because that's where the love for non-league came in. And, playing for Worksop at that time with 1,000 people at every home game and taking 2 and 3 coach loads away, it was just amazing. So some of the best experiences of my life, and probably one of the best things I ever did. So, I don't regret 1 minute of coming out of professional football and going into non-league. And then obviously I found my way back into professional football with Halifax through Chris Wilder when I went to Alfreton from Worksop. But I don't regret. I regret the professional side of things, and I wish I knew. I hate that saying, but I wish I knew now what I didn't know then. But from a non-league perspective, I don't regret anything. Maybe not signing for Telford when I could, but I've loved every single minute of it, and I still do, and that's why I'm still involved.
And that's the most important bit. You're still delighted no matter what happened.
Absolutely.
And it's like the late Bobby Robson always said, the biggest word in football is if only. If only this.
Yeah, listen, for every Ryan Giggs, there's plenty more out there, that didn't get spotted up. But I'm still a firm believer of if you're good enough, you'll make it. You don't slip through the net, especially now with how the non-league scoured a little bit, that if you are good enough and you are producing, you will find your way into the professional game. Listen, it might not be the bright lights of the Premier League or Championship, but look how many non-league players now. I think Mikulova put a stat the other day about 6 or 7 lads that have come through their ranks and have gone on to professional and started in the Football League last Saturday. So it just shows you what can be achieved. It's brilliant, and I urge any pro club that you need a good solid scouting network across non-league. You do, because there's some diamonds in there, and if you find one, it's very lucrative. As Che Adams, as Jamie Vardy, people like that, they'll show you.
Absolutely, definitely can be done.
Of course it can.
One thing I want to, like you said, you name dropped with Chris Wilder. So, what was it like playing under Chris Wilder? As you know, you're a Sheffield United fan. We've had the glories under him. What was it like Halifax playing under him?
Well, I had Alfreton with him as well. So we won the quadruple at Alfreton, which was a phenomenal season playing with some phenomenal players. Just one second. Can we get that squeaky ball off there? It's doing my brain in. Sorry, a dog's got a squeaky ball and all I can hear in the back is squeak, squeak, squeak. It's putting me off. Well, I used to call him a ruthless genius, and I'll always stick by that comment for him because he was your friend. He'd look after you. He was a fantastic manager, but he had boundaries and he had lines, and if you didn't perform, you were out the side. And if you didn't perform for a sustained period of time, you were out the door. And that's why he's got the success he's got. He's very, very knowledgeable. And what Chris has done is surrounded himself with great people that's got him the rewards. He's so dedicated, he's so methodical, he reads the game really well, and he makes the right decisions. You know, it's like anything in football. For the 1,000 good decisions you make, they'll always think of one that you forgot to do, or you read it. I was reading Twitter the other day about Paul Eckenbottom. Driving me insane. We've had one game, we've got 4 or 5 key players missing. So yeah, from a Wilder perspective, just a great guy, a great mentor, and like I say, a ruthless genius that gets the best out of people through a culmination of things, really, through talking to players, through understanding them, knowing them, and having this ability to get the best out of them. And that's I suppose that's one of the traits that I believe I've got as a manager, is I get the best out of people. And I've always, you know, I like to think I've always won a lot more football games than I've lost. And I think that stems from my drive and anything as a leader. If you're the most passionate of the bunch, people will start to rub off that passion, and people will want to be in your trenches and want to run through brick walls for you. And that's how I try and be as a manager. You know, I'm not a coach. I'm not going to put sessions on, although I've got my badges and I'm going to continue to do that. I believe that I'm the old school football manager that kicks every ball, a little bit like Chris, a little bit like, you know, your Cloughys of this world. I'm not suited and booted sat in the stand, or I'm not sat in the seat, you know, the heated seats nowadays, just sat playing Sudoku. You know, I'm kicking every ball, and I'm getting in the ref's head, and I'm getting in other players' heads, and I'm just doing everything that I can to get my team a result. Simple as that.
Well, like one of the things like I always liked about Wilder as well, especially at United, I always relate it back to Dean Henderson. When he went live on Sky and he slated Henderson, there was all this backlash saying, oh, he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that. But it was actually great man management from him, because after that, I think he went on to make multiple clean sheets in the Premier League as well. So it worked.
I had a pop at a lad in my dressing room. I'm not going to name him, Jacob Priestnell, who's 17, just left Salford. I had a pop at him on Tuesday night when we played. And I said to him, listen, I said, I can't wrap you in cotton wool. You know, I'm not going to fucking breastfeed you and whinge you. I'm not going to do that. You fucking learn to be a man. You work hard. And honestly, second half, that lad went out and put in one of the best performances I've seen for a long time. And it just shows you that sometimes a little bit of tough love in the right way, you know, because as I've sort of done that in the dressing room, as everyone's gone out, I've pulled him to one side and given him a kiss and a cuddle and put my arm around him and told him how much I believe in it. And sometimes that makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck. And I'm all for tough love. You know, you are paid, whether it's 25 quid a week or 250 grand. You're paid for a service. You know, you're a subcontractor. That's what you are. And, you know, if I pay my cleaner and I still see shit all over the floor, then I'm going to find someone else to do it. You know, if I pay a gardener and the grass isn't cut, I'm going to find another gardener. And it's nothing personal. It's just that you need them to get the best out of them. And sometimes they need a little bit of tough love, but then to know that you've got the back and that you care about them. And I genuinely do care about all my players. And I've whispered in his ear before he went out, I believe in you, and I think you can go back into professional football. And he went out second half and played with the freedom and played to the level that I believe Jacob can do. And I'll do that to a 36-year-old, you know. I'll do it to an 18-year-old. I'll do it to a 22-year-old. Doesn't really matter. If they're in my dressing room, they're men. And they've got to conform and go and get me the results, because it's me that gets the sack. You know, they all find other clubs. And unfortunately, as a manager, you can find yourself on that conveyor belt or not on the conveyor belt and out the game for a long period of time and not getting back in.
It's true. It always lies with the manager.
Oh, yeah, it's always us that get the sack. You know, and you do a great job, and it's a bit like dying, isn't it? People moan you for a couple of weeks, and then you're a bastard because you've took another job. It's just football. It's a fickle world. It's the most fickle sport on earth, and that's why I much prefer golf. But yeah, I shouldn't say that with the LIV that's happening. But you know, football is full of opinions, and it allows, and social media is a killer as well. It just allows people to voice without any sort of thought for people's humanity. People are human beings. Some of these lads have been at work since 6 o'clock in the morning, digging roads or laying bricks or whatever it is. And even at non-league, I see players getting berated and slated. And really, really gets to me. I don't even get it in the modern day game. I really don't. I saw some of the posts about Lowe came on a sub for us, and he's just had a bad day at the office. Doesn't make him a bad player. If he doesn't want to be at the club, the gaffer will find that out and he'll be down the road. But he's come on, he's tried to make an impact, and it's not worked. And the amount of slander that they get, it's totally uncalled for. To be honest, I would be happy if they abolished social media and just let players play. Simple as that. And then what you'd find is players would associate themselves and warm and be much more open and honest with fans. 1 week you're signing somebody's shirt and doing something for charity, and the next week then people are absolutely slating you, saying you're not fit to wear the shirt and you should do this and you should do that. And it's totally wrong.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you also you are glad as well that social media wasn't a big thing when you was playing.
Fucking hell, come on. Yeah, they'd been burning shirts outside my house and everything. Yeah. But no, yeah, I am. And I should imagine Brian Robson and the great, brilliant eras before me, and you Lee Sharps and people like that are probably glad they didn't have social media either. I think, yeah, it's come at the right time now where people are educated around it a little bit and they know the pitfalls of it. But nobody deserves to be slandered like that. We're all human beings, and it's got to stop, because people don't realise what an effect it has on people, and it well and truly isn't nice. Listen, my opinion, and I've always thought this: if you've not got anything good to say, don't say anything. If you've got something positive to say, people don't realise. I know a lot of pros and a lot of good people in the game. They read these things, they know what people are saying. It's just uncalled for. If you haven't got a nice word to say, don't say anything. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, people don't know how to criticise constructively anymore. Zero that on social media. It's just either you're amazing or you're the exact opposite.
Well, you only get so many characters to call someone to see you next Tuesday, don't you? Do you know what I mean? And then you finish up with your tail in between your legs 3 weeks later when people took a screenshot of what you've put, and then you're saying that player's the best player you've got and he's wonderful and he's brilliant. And the week after is shit and his missus is a pig and he needs to F off and it's just stop. It does break people's hearts, and it's not necessarily the players sometimes, it's the families. Mm-hmm. The families, I've seen my dad go through hell with my football and what people have said and what I've done, and and to the point now where he won't come and watch because he's heard and he's seen and everything else. So yeah, it can be really, really it can be really vile. Mm-hmm. So please, if you've not got anything good to say, don't say it.
Absolutely.
Some great words.
I just want to touch on. Sorry, man. I just want to touch on Chris Wilder, because I remember I was speaking to an Alfreton fan about 3 years ago when I first visited the ground. And I think Alfreton 1 year, this is before Wilder came in, just before. I think they made a poor start in the season.
They did.
And they're looking for new managers, and every single manager came in for an interview and said, "Next season I'll get you promotion." But one manager quizzed the chairman and says, "Well, why not this season?" Chris Wilder.
Yeah, well, Jay Mabry was my pal. He was manager at the time, and he was having a tough time. And he brought Chris in as a player to influence the dressing room and everything else. And unfortunately, results didn't turn around as favourably as Wayne Bradley, who, by the way, is the best chairman I've ever worked for as a player. An outstanding man. And another one, I'm sorry, but, you're giving these MBEs and stuff like that. Wayne Bradley should be getting an MBE for what he's done for Alfreton, the town of Alfreton. And he's given them football at every single level outside the Football League, which is phenomenal. And he's done it all out of his own pocket. So a wonderful man. And I think Chris was given the opportunity. But again, Chris, being Chris, persuasive, straightforward, straight talking, persuaded Wayne to really dip his hand in his pocket. And we went out. Obviously, I signed, Mick Godber signed. Oh, sorry, Mick was already there. And we went out and I think we bought a couple of players. I think Mick Godber from Sheffield Club and Mick Goddard from Works Up at the time, which became the God Squad, which scored about 80 goals between them that season. Myself came in, lots of other great players. Obviously, Ryan France was there at the time, Stevie Johnson, Darren Brooks, Steve Heath, who'd been in England school, but we were just big, nasty, solid. But God, we got some great players. Chris Dolby. It was just a phenomenal squad, and we just steamrolled everybody and finished up, winning the league by quite convincingly. Then probably 7 or 8 points. Bearing in mind we were probably 12 or 14 off when Chris took over, and then we won the Derbyshire Senior Cup. We won the League Cup, and God knows what the other cup was called, but. Yeah, just a phenomenal year, which then showed you that somebody from a North East Counties pedigree and with a great background and also having played for Halifax has then gone straight into a conference role. Can that happen now? Probably not. But chairmans are very shrewd as well, now. So chairmans are looking at lower levels and seeing what tune people gets at, what the manager gets out of his team and stuff like that. And people aren't scared now to say, you know what, all right, you're a North East Counties manager, but I will give you this, just as a prime example. James Colliver, I'll have seen something in him and gone, you know what, you're the man for us, and I'm sure he'll deliver well this year, as he did a great job last season. People will give you opportunity if they see some qualities in you. It's a job interview at the end of the day. Your CV speaks for itself, but they've got to buy into you as well. I know people that have got great CVs but can't get jobs because they can't interview and they can't articulate, and some of them have been out of the game too long, unfortunately, to be able to say, I can call upon him and him and him and him. They can't now because, like me, they're 40-year-old and a little bit podgy and can't play as well as they used to do. So that's the transition of football, I guess.
Well, you were saying you can't play as like you used to, but if I read rightly, you've signed as a player as well for Retford.
Yeah, I just wanted some attention. That's all that is. I don't want people to forget who I were. Yes, I have. Yeah, he's quite funny actually, because apart from Stu Lowe, who's the assistant, who's older than God, but probably the best player. We've all signed. So myself, JJ, Leo, James Jepson, who's been another great player, more Leicestershire based with your Gresley Rovers and your Ketterings and stuff like that. He was a captain of Kettering when they got promotion up into the conference. Great to have in the dressing room. Just a brilliant guy, is Jeppo. And Leoms, who was, I've had a Rossington, who's always been one of the North East Counties top scorers and a fantastic tracker. So we've all signed. And then we've got Lee Thompson, who's 40. So worst case scenario, if we don't succeed in this league, we'll have a cracking over 35 side, that is for sure. But you can never have too many players, and within reason, So you do sign on your elder statesmen, myself and people like that, but we care, we do keep fit. And if we were called upon, we'd be able to hold us own. Or hold a defibrillator, one or two, but yeah.
So are you just waiting for that moment?
Last minute to win the league, free kick. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. So breath. Yeah. Jimmy Grimble. That's me. I don't even think I own a pair of fucking football boots. Get them somebody. I'll have signed him some blind kid like in Dumb and Dumber, trying to tell him how good I was or whatever it was. But yeah, it's I'm sure I've got a pair somewhere, but I do love the game, chaps. I'll never get away from it. It is in my blood, and it always has been. And would I say it's the greatest game in the world? No, I'd say golf is. I think golf's played by gentlemen and people that you don't get much slander apart from this LIV, but you don't get many bad things said about golfers. Whereas football, I think now, I shouldn't say this again because of the golf situation, but it's all about money. It's all money led. You don't get value for money paying people £500,000 a week. You don't. Golfers have to fund themselves. They've got great sponsorship, but you've got to actually go out on tour and win stuff to get paid. No appearance money like there is in football. So no, I did fall in love with golf in lockdown and took it up and I play it probably a bit more than I should. Hopefully my bosses aren't listening, but yeah, but no, I do. Football's always been my passion. And do you know what? And the people that know me best will always say this. I always wanted to be a manager. I wanted to be a manager more than I wanted to be a footballer. Absolutely. I don't know why. I just think it was that authority, that ability to manage a group of people and try and make them do stuff that they don't believe that they can do. Whereas a player, especially having come from a winger, the fucking hell, there might be games you touch the ball 4 or 5 times. Whereas a manager, you touch the ball every time you've got it. The problem is you touch it every time they've got it as well. So it's a bit of a, it's a tough one, but I was just always obsessed. I think it was since we just used to spend day and night as we all did on Championship Manager. I think that's what it was. It must have been that 1993 version. Yeah, when I first got the Commodore Amiga. What a console that was. Yeah.
So when did you decide, right, my playing career is probably going to come to an end?
You kidding me?
You might still be signed, but like you said, you're only coming on for the 90th minute winner.
Putting me out to stud. Have you not seen me hands with over 35s? Yeah, I'd put myself out to stud as well. I realised it was over when I went to Matlock under Mark Atkins, and I've got so much admiration for Mark. Such a lovely guy. Taught me a lot about management as well, and I do adopt some of his principles at time. But I was at Matlock and I was so fit. I felt fit. And I've always prided myself on wherever I've been, I've always been the fittest player. Always. You know, your 12-minute runs, all that sort of stuff, always. I'm the laziest bastard in the world on a pitch, but running-wise and all that sort of thing, I used to love it. Well, I didn't love it. I just used to think the quicker I get this fucker done, then I'm finished. I can go to the boozer. But I just prided myself on that. And I started to see people overtaking me and people are almost not lapping me, and I'm thinking, nah, this isn't for me. But on the field, still performing, still playing well. But I was just like, I don't think I've got this anymore. I don't think I want this. So I sort of left Matlock, and then that was it until, you know, a couple of stints with friends in non-league at sort of Clipston and Handsworth and stuff, but there was never any love there. It was more just to entertain the fans, I think, and just to keep involved and keep the camaraderie of a dressing room. But my love had gone at 28, 29, really. I think I'd just run myself into the ground. Either that or my, shall we say, very hectic lifestyle was catching up with me. And he does catch up with you. And that's another thing. You know, you can burn the candle at both ends for so long, but, you know, in the end, it bites you on the arms. Nobody's superhuman.
Well, yeah. So, Retford United then.
Come on, you Badgers. Yeah.
What's your ambition for this season then? Promotion?
Absolutely, 100%. Eyes on the prize. Got to get promotion. Chairman, club, the squad. If we don't get promotion this year, it's my failure. It'll be down to me because the players are there, the infrastructure's there, the budget's there, everything's in place. You know, unless we get a bit of bad luck, which happens, but we've got 28 games and we'll be looking to try and win 28 games. It's as simple as that. I'm not making predictions and saying we're going to get promotion. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'd expect us to go out and try and win every game. And if we do that, we get promotion. And if we don't, we have to see where the pack lies and who drops points where. But we'll be going out to win. We'll be going out to win every game. And hopefully bring a bit of silverware in the cups if possible. But I'm a manager that would rather go out in the first round of every single cup and win the league than suddenly lose it, come second, lose in a cup final and win a cup final, or win 2 cup finals and come second. No, all eyes are on the prize for promotion, chaps.
Yeah, Retford United, formerly of step 3 in non-league as high as now in step 7.
Yeah, and I played in that step 3 side. We were a good side, and then the money dried up, and then everything went wrong, and it just nosedived, and it's sort of heartbreaking for me because I still, every time I walk through the door, a new support comes up to me and says, "I remember that day when you did this as a team, and I remember that goal you scored against them, and you know, at Fleetwood or at Boston or at Kings Lane," and you're thinking, and please don't take this as any disrespect to anybody who's listening, but you know, we're playing Bakewell Town tomorrow. You know, 10, 11 years ago, our first home game was FC United. Or I think it might have been Kings Lynn and then Buxton, and you know, unfortunately now we are playing people from Derbyshire. It's just not the Buxtons and Belpers of this world. It's you know, it's your Bakewells and your Thorns and your other sides. But listen, we'll pay them the ultimate respect. as a club, we are where we are for a reason. And it's my job and the team's job and the management team and everybody connected with the club to get them out of that league and then look at the next league and say, what can we do in this? And try and get promotion out of that. And suddenly then you're at the echelons of the big wild world of non-league where Retford should be.
And do you think you can get Retford back where they are?
That's the plan. I've said to the chairman, I think we've got a 5-year strategy where we should be back in the pitching in, pitching out, whatever it is. Sounds a song in there, and they pack it up, pack it in, whatever it is. But yeah, that's where I'd like to see Retford. I've got the funds, I've got the club, I've got the players, I think I've got the knowledge, I think I've got the right management team around me. So a 5-year plan to certainly be fighting for the top end of the North East counties, if not hopefully out of it.
Certainly got the ground.
Got everything.
Well. Yeah.
Listen, everything's there. But pick your chairman sometimes and not your club. And when I met Nick, he was, you could just see, I wanted to give him a cuddle. I know that sounds corny, but he's so desperate for promotion. And that's not because he's putting money in, because he's just a footballing man who really wants to do well. And it was like, he believed in me and I believed in him, and I knew the club inside out. And I think it gave the club a massive lift. We went to pre-season training and 50 people turned up, so they opened the bar. People sat in the sun, having a drink, watching the first team train. Now, you tell me the non-league club that gets that, all right, maybe the Evo Stick Prem upwards. I keep calling it Evo Stick. You'll have to forgive me, you non-league people. I could go back to Unibond. Yeah, I've probably still got one of their match balls knocking about, or a few, but and then we went to the first friendly at Alfreton. I think we had 110 fans there at Alfreton. So it's a proper non-league club. And we used to get 450, 500 at every single game. So I'm not going to say that's going to happen this year, but if we can start getting over the 200 mark, then I believe I'm doing something right. And I still see, the pitching up league. I hate calling it that. I'm calling it Evo Stick. I still see teams in the Premium One that don't even get over 150. So if we start playing well, we'll have 250 to some potentially 300 through that gate, which half the teams in the 90% of the teams in the North East counties don't get that, and I know a lot of the teams in the League One of pitching in, pitching up, whatever it is, league, they don't get that either. So, like I said, chaps, all eyes on the prize. The squad's there, the infrastructure's there. I like to think I can do this. I've learned a little bit since coming out of the game as well, and I think now's the time to go and get Retford up this league, and then hopefully in the years to come back to where they need to be or where they should be.
Baby steps. That's the way.
Absolutely. And it starts tomorrow. There's a big number 28 on the board, and hopefully we can rub that off and put 27 on if we win tomorrow night. And, then we're on to Wednesday night against Worksop. We've got to go and beat them, and we'll put it down to 26. And that's our work. 28 league wins, we're promoted. It will be one of them leagues this year where you can't lose more than two or three games. You can't. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not getting promotion. So if you don't hear from me tomorrow and we get beat, I'll be under a stone somewhere.
Yeah. Couple of big teams in there as well. Like Thorn will be up there. You mentioned Durham District have thrown money at it. Harworth will be there and thereabouts.
Harworth, a young fit side.
Teversall, maybe. I'm not sure about them.
They're not in our league. They're in the other one.
Are they?
Yeah, right. So we're missing them, but again, not being disrespectful, but with the players that we've got, we shouldn't really worry about anybody. We should, if we keep people on the grass and don't get injuries and suspensions, I keep looking there because I've wrote all the team and everything out for tomorrow, and I'm just looking at it and it makes me smile. Really does. I think we're almost at full strength tomorrow. So, yeah. If we can keep that group happy, enthused, and winning football games, then I think it could be a very, very, as I said, it could be the year of the Badger.
The Badgers.
I don't think there's a Badger in the. I don't think there's a Badger in the Chinese New Year, but the all.
So, how happy are you with sort of your pre-season friendlies as have gone? I did manage to get to Alfreton when you played and won 4-0, and I must say again, quite impressed with the team, quite impressed with the game.
They're a league above us, and there was a 20-minute period where it was a typical pre-season friendly on a scorched pitch and the ball's bouncing everywhere and people are getting to know each other. I think we had 4 or 5 new faces in the team from last year's group there. And we went and, convincing 4-0. But, yeah, I think the pre-season wasn't designed by me. It was designed by the previous manager. But it was good. It was testing. We chucked the Doncaster game in as well because I'd rather us play a competitive game, and Terry Curran's a great bloke, and they'll be an interesting watch, guys, by the way. Doncaster City, they'll be very interesting to watch. But yeah, listen, the Man City game, sorry, I applied to play Man City in pre-season, or maybe not, but the Mansfield Town game, you've got to write that off. You're not going to beat them. We couldn't beat them as Blades. We got pumped 3-0. So, to lose the second half 1-0 against a full tilt Mansfield Town side, obviously the first half was shoddy a little bit, and they pumped us 5. But what I take from that is how the team reacted at half time. I asked them to get the shape better and communicate a little bit better and shuffle over and go and press in certain areas. Don't be having aggressive press because they'll pick you off. And we didn't. We did everything right. So that was a good game for us to be out of possession. So, working on a shape and how we're doing things. But the other games, we really have. We've steamrolled teams of a higher level, AFC Mansfield and Alfreton, and then teams similar levels to us in terms of Louth and Doncaster are going to be a really, they'll be really strong this year. They'll walk. I think they'll walk all 3 leagues of the County Senior League. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm unfortunate that we've lost two of his key players in Jed Phillips to something that's hopefully not as bad as we thought. We thought it was a tear of the hamstring, but it turns out it's something else that I can't pronounce. I'll leave that to the physios. But it's not as bad as first thought. And Igor Milanowski, who's broke a metatarsal, but already, because he's a young fit lad, after 3 weeks, he's already starting solid rehab and he's walking, and we might have him back a lot quicker than we think. So never nice to lose 2 key players. But other than that, yeah, we're in a great place and a good space, and hopefully that'll translate to tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, the preparation's done. Like you said, now it's 28 games, one at a time.
Yeah,
start to get those points on the board.
It's exciting. The lads are buzzing. My phone never stops pinging. So today it's every player sending the song for the playlist, and we've worked. There's quite a few initiations to take place tomorrow with new players, and I never thought I'd say this, but I think this is the best dressing room that I've been in terms of camaraderie, togetherness. So I've got to doff my cap to Liam, previous manager, to a degree, who brought these players in, but I think we've, hopefully with the players that we brought in, took it to that next level, and especially with having Jeppo in the camp, who's just an absolute character, as well as still a great player. He's just absolutely hilarious, and the boys are all buying into it, and do keep messing one more sleep gaffer, and yeah. There's going to be a big pin comes and a bubble bursts and bait. We'll get 3 points tomorrow, but no, I'm what's one of my bosses once taught me? Cautiously optimistic, I think is the word. But yeah, I'm excited, and it's been a long time, and as you can see, I'm beaming. So yeah, I can't wait for, well, hopefully this time tomorrow, but we shall see. I'll be like this.
Well, hopefully this time tomorrow you got a couple of goals lead as well.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
So, with you being an attacking player, then we've also been told you scored quite a few screamers in non-league.
Yeah.
What would you say some of your favourite goals were?
Do you know what? The ones that are fucking tap-ins. They are. I scored the goal that won Ilkeston the league when we got promotion. And to be honest, I can say this now, I sort of nicked it. So I had Mickey Goddard went round the keeper and he's laid it across, and I know it's going in, but I thought, I'll just make sure. And I fucking poked it in, and yeah, look at me, it's all about me. And obviously that got us promotion that day. We won 1-0 against Chorley. And then, there was that great, at the time, Fleetwood were flying, and all the ground was getting built and everything else. And we went there in the FA Vars, and we were 1-0 down, and we were really, really under the cosh. And I think we got a corner. And the keeper came out to save it, and he sort of patted it down, and I tapped it in, and we drew 1-1, which was another brilliant coach journey home. But we beat them 5-1 at home in the following game. It was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. But yeah, honestly, you caught me on the hop here. I'm trying to think of. There's been so many. I can remember scoring. My favourite goal was for Ilkeston against Ossett, and the manager that went on to manage me at Belper, Andy Carney, bless him, in the net, and I sort of picked it up in my own half, and like someone that got FIFA control, but the back left button weren't always as quick as it should have been, but I still managed to get through. I think I took most of them on and drilled it in bottom corner, and I just remember that day thinking, I've got a chance of getting back into the Football League here, because I was flying. I was top scorer in the league. I was playing with a great bunch of people and players that had all got good contacts in the game. And I can remember speaking to the chairman after, Paul Millership, God bless him, and he said, there's 13 football clubs here watching you today, Ryan. I'm thinking, just had a fucking game in my life and scored a goal that if Messi had scored it, everybody would keep replaying it. And a couple of things sort of materialised and didn't materialise and everything else. But yeah, I think, it's hard to remember now. It's been that long. It's been a decade. But yeah, I think that'd be my favourite. I think that'd be my favourite non-league goal, and obviously the ones that the Belper goal that won us the cup final, the Belper one that won us the playoff semi-final. That wasn't bad either. That was top corner from the edge of the box when it came out. Still got the picture of that. So yeah, there's been some amazing ones, but I think for sheer quality and ability, and it would have been Ilkeston v Ossett back in, don't know when God was a lad. I think 2000 and. Fucking hell. What year would it be? About 2005, I think. Oh, God. Yeah, long time. You wouldn't have had that beard then.
Well, talking about it, when I did a little bit of research into your sort of career, I did come across a photo when you was at Ilkeston.
Beautiful, isn't it?
I must say, were you blonde highlights?
Yeah. So that was the Beckham phase, or fucking Lamar off Kajagoogoo, one of the two. But yeah, that was they were dark times. No, there wasn't actually. It was all the rage. I just got back from Thailand, so I used to visit Thailand for a month with my ex-girlfriend back in the day. I used to have to make up loads of lies. One I was getting engaged. The other I'd been called out there for work. I mean, a fucking 20-odd-year-old who gets called out to Thailand for work. Unless, you're doing ladyboy operations, honestly. So I can remember being sat on the train to Heathrow, and I'm texting the manager saying, Gaffer, we were playing when they had a really good side, Histon. Remember Histon?
Yep.
Histon were in the conference at the time, and we got to like the 5th round of the FA Bleeding Vars at Retford. And I just said, Gaffer, I'm not there tomorrow. I've been called out on emergency work to fucking Dubai. And he just went, Ryan, you're renowned for it. You did it at Ilkeston. You did it at Gainsborough. I know exactly where you went. You're going to Thailand for a month for Christmas and New Year. And I was like, fuck. Yeah, I am, Gaffer. Sorry. But yeah, that's why the streaks in the suntan looks really, really good. The hair's definitely on point, chaps. Tan looks good as well.
Can I just say, what was his response when he said that, yeah, I am, Gaffer? Yeah.
I'll see you when you get back, you little cunt. Which really, that was Peter Duffield, and I'm taller than Pete. So, yeah, it wasn't a pleasant discussion, although I got back and we played Quorn. I'll never forget it. And Steve Owens got injured in the warm-up. I'm like, and I can see Mick and Toothy and Duff having a fucking heated debate outside. And I think it's like, why should we fucking play him? And I can remember Duff just saying, because he's his best player, he's his best winger. And that way I played, and I never went back out of the team. So cheers, Duff. I got a little bit lucky that day. But yeah, scored as well. Have you heard about the one? I was living in London, and I was in a world of pain. I was in a lot of stuff with drink and other stuff, and I can remember we got Solihull Moors, some big side from Birmingham, And I'd not been playing very well. I think my lifestyle was catching up with me. And Stuart Ludlam was picking me up, bless him. So I've been out all night. I've been in Wahiki Bar or something in London, drinking champagne and being a prick. And so I've got in, and I always used to catch the 10 past 11 train from London that got me into Retford for about 12:30. It was about 1:45. So I rang Luds. I said, Luds, I'm hanging out my fucking arse, mate. I said, you're going to have to nip to the shop for me and get me 4 cans of lager. I said, I'm going to have to try and just drink these before game and bring myself round. So he picked me up from the train station in his Mini. And I fired the first can of Foster's down. Then I got around the corner, fired the second down. And by the time I got to the ground, I'd had 3 cans. So I was like, feel a bit better now. Went straight into the toilet, spewed my Ricker up, Gaffer Names team, puts me sub. Fucking hell. No, this slippery slope's catching up with me. We're 1-0 down with about 25 minutes to go, and I'm sort of still fucking bit. He says, Ryan, you going on? Oh, okay. Come on, ball come over, bump, goal, 1-1. Just ran off fucking like that, pumping the arm, like I was still in the nightclub. And we drew 1-1. But yeah, I played pissed. I had 3 cans of Foster's, just topped myself up from the night before and managed to score against Solihull in the FA Cup. That is one of the...
Still celebrating that goal.
Yeah, still fist pumping, yeah. Yeah, the old fist pump.
Night out in London, get us home at early hours.
Honestly, I can remember walking. I managed to get myself to London Bridge. I can remember wandering across London Bridge thinking, fucking, what time is it? Trying to get the last train back to Forest Hill where I was living at the time. And then I moved to South Woodford. I was just like, sat on the bridge, just like looking, thinking, what am I doing? I've got a big game tomorrow. And I never learned. I carried on all the way till I sort of realised that if I didn't get back from London soon, I was going to do a lot of damage to myself. So I made a decision, and me and my dad snuck down in the middle of the night and cleared the apartment out, and back I came to Sheffield. Crazy. Should write a book.
There's a common theme here. Wherever you go, you're always coming back to Sheffield.
yeah, wherever it is, yeah. It's but although I've never played for Sheffield Club, which is probably the only club locally that I haven't played for. I don't know why. And you know what? It's never even come up. Never.
I know you did with Hallam, didn't you? I think for a time.
What's that? Sorry.
You have an association with Hallam, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the best part of my management career and always will be, unless I can do something more extraordinary with just the dog's going to eat my kids. So, yeah, Hallam. I'll never forget. I was managing Royal Earl Sunday side. You'll know this, Topliss. A really, really good Sunday side guys, like the best Sunday side that there's ever been. Forget Wilder and Waiter, Bradway and all that. They're defunct. It's just a bit of a joke. And Oil and Town Jags, brilliant sides. Akenthorpe, brilliant sides. But the Earl have continued over the years. Paul Mitchell was the first manager, and Pete Rinkovich, and then I got Bobby Morwood did a brilliant job, and then I got the job. So I had that for about 1.5 years, and because I always wanted to be a manager. So at 28, actually, I tell you that before that I was manager at Alfreton here, and we were the only side, and the last person to do the quadruple was Chris Wilder. And with a week to go the season, we were the only side that could do it. Finished up winning fuck all, lost both cup finals, and finished second in the league. So that didn't go very well. And then I got the chance to go back to Royal Earl and manage the Earl. And then I did that for 1.5 years. And I got a random message on Twitter just saying, Ryan, would you be interested in talking to Hallam? So I was thinking, fucking hell, this is it. You know, this is the bright lights of non-league. And then I did a bit of research, and I'd seen Hallam had played 10, lost 10. And they looked like going out the northeast counties. So I thought, I will go and speak to them, because I believe the players that I got at Royal Earl and the people that I played with and everything owed me a few favours. And we could really turn this round. So I went to Hallam, and we finishing 13th, which was just unbelievable. We played 10, without me, they played 10, lost 10. So I came into a bunch of disenthused. The supporters were about 44 punters coming through the gate, you know, and it was just a fucking It was just a car crash. It was. And that season, we got the crowds up to about 120. We got to sort of the quarterfinals of the Senior Cup with a pub side. And players that, I'm not being rude, they weren't massive non-league calibre players. We sort of put some sticky patches on certain bits and some plasters on other bits, and we just tried to get through the season, stay up, and try and make it an appealing place for people to come and play the following year. Following year, we finished sixth, got into the playoffs, lost in the playoff semi-final. Then the season after, I still believe, contrary to what probably my best mate Bates would tell you who had it, and maybe even Dents, with the great side that year. But I believe the best Hallam side was the Hallam side of that season that finished fifth in the league. And we went to Grimsby with 2-0 up at half-time in the playoff semi-final, and they came out second half and we lost 3-2, which was heartbreaking. And then off I went to work. So, but Hallam, I look back on so fondly. I went in there, played 10, lost 10. They were going out the league. They were going to finish up, in the whatever, not Central Midlands, but Sheffield and Hallamshire League. And we turned it around, and since then Scott went in and did a great job, and then Dents has put the icing on the cake and the cherry on the top and got promotion. And when I left, they were getting just short of 300 punters every week from 44. And Dents, through COVID and other stuff, and playing a good, attractive football and getting the results, has now took that up to sort of an average of about 6,500, 700, which is unbelievable. Listen, when I took over Hallam, they were the whipping boys. They were the laughing stock. Yeah. They were the laughing stock. They were the thing that you'd look at and go, when we playing them? Because that's 6 points. Nah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And I have no, nothing but love for the club. I can go up there and, you treat like royalty, and I'm not being rude, so I should be. Yeah, so I should be, and so should all my management team, and any player that rescued that club should be treated like royalty. And yeah, Richard Pillinger's took it on now and doing a fantastic job as chairman. The punters are coming through the door. It's brilliant to see. And I've sort of now, I've got the ability to go and do that at Retford, but finally have money behind me and a structure and a fan base. And hopefully we can progressive, like you said, Topliss, baby steps. Let's not get ahead of us. We're in a fairly poor league that we're expected to win. We need to go and hopefully win it. And then we go into another league where there's a lot more teams and a lot more travel, and, the landscape changes a little bit, but I'd expect us to be, top 6 in that league with the squad that we've got at the minute. It's where the dice fall, isn't it? So fingers crossed.
Yeah, it is a tough league to get out of. But I've got to ask you there about Hallam.
Yeah.
So I can remember, because obviously I had an affiliation with Shirebrook Town, who were counties. I remember that season, Hallam were bottom very early on. And then we were playing in mid-October. This is my second year.
I said
to him,
Hallam, Shirebrook at home.
Is this that you were 2-1 up?
Yeah, lost 3-2. We've got to play centre. Two
corners.
Right, fucking hell. Yeah, we couldn't defend corners. It was my first game. We'd not worked on them in training.
I was saying that was one of my favourite Shirebrook Town days ever. When that one went in, I've got to be honest.
Someone ran on with a flare or something like that.
I know that guy.
Beat Hallam,
Yeah, I know that guy. It weren't me who ran on, but it was a friend of mine who we used to sing with.
Did you a good game, though?
Ran on.
Julian Watts. Yeah, but I think that was a sign. That was a turning point when. Well, you listen. All the manager's job is, you offer. I don't care what people say. You offer. You're a father figure. You're a leader of the team, and your job is to get the best out of people. And if you don't, you don't win football games. And if you do, and you don't win football games, you might not have got the best players, but you have minimal impact when you're on the sideline. You make changes and you see certain things. It's all about your players. And if you send your players out with the belief that they can achieve, that they can run through brick walls for you, and they can, as I always say, get blood on the shirt and mud on the knees and give you absolutely everything that they've got, that's all you can ask. And that's what we did at Hallam. We had the sprinkling of the genius of Michael Blythen and the great footballers of Jake Curry and James Reed and an aggressive back four, and Dave Darwin, who's one of the best keepers I've ever worked with. We had everything. But there's just something... I'm not saying player for player that Retford's better than Hallam. I'm not saying that in the slightest. What I'm saying is that the dressing room that I've got now is just, I think, in terms of camaraderie, togetherness, banter, everything is the best dressing room that I've ever walked into, which is half of the battle. So now I've got to pick the right team. and then they've got to go and perform. And if they do, I'd like to think we'd be there or thereabouts, chaps.
And it starts with Bakewell tomorrow.
We start with what?
And it starts with Bakewell tomorrow.
It all starts with Bakewell.
It does. It does. Yeah. I love Bakewell.
So, one from Colliver.
Oh, Colliver. God. Yeah.
He said he wants to know if you could invite 5 players around that you've played with around for dinner, who would they be?
5 players?
Play with.
What? Professional or just? Should we just keep it to non-league because it's a non-league show, isn't it? I don't really want.
No. It's any professional or non-league, a combination of both, whichever.
What that I've played with?
Yeah.
I'd love to have Tom Staniforth. God bless him. Yeah, I miss him. I'd love to have Stan. Makes me choke up a bit, that. Who else? Carl Bradshaw. He's rung me today, actually, to play golf Sunday. Who else would I'm just thinking about Craig Midgley. Great character. Hilarious. From Halifax. So who have I got? I've got Stan. God bless him. Midge. Who else? I've got 2 more. So Carl Bradshaw, Midge. I'm rushing now. I'm trying to think. Oh, Paul Smith, absolute legend. Ex-Lincoln City. Played at... pardon?
Is he goalie?
No, he's a winger or midfielder. Paul Smith played for Lincoln on the full stand. Came to Ilkeston. Yeah, Smudge a legend. Trying to think of just crazy people like me. It'd be some dinner. Yeah. One more. Let me think. Mark Lever, funniest man I've ever played with. Mark Lever. So I've got Mark Lever, Carl Bradshaw, Craig Midgley, Paul Smith, and who else? But it's stop drinking. Trying to think. I'm gonna have to write this down. It'd be good if they're in the team tomorrow. Midge, yeah. Paul Smith, Carl Bradshaw,
Lever.
Who?
Summit Lever.
Mark Lever, absolute legend. One of the funniest men I've ever met, if not the funniest man I've ever met. Who one I said before? Who did I say?
Trying to think of the order. Tom Staniforth, Carl Bradshaw.
Oh, Tom Stan, that's it, yeah. And then Stan, God bless him. So, yeah, Tom Staniforth, Craig Midgley, Paul Smith, Carl Bradshaw, and Mark Lever. And Jas can come round and cook his signature tuna pasta dish with a side of fucking salt and vinegar discos with salad cream. That's what Jas lived on. That's why he's so skinny.
I was literally just about to say, not Jas Colliver or Chris Wilder.
No, they bore me. No, they want to talk about football. No, I'm not going about that. No. You want some stories? I've got a mixture of crazy people, funny people, and to be fair, I'm looking at that thinking that's a little bit defensive. We probably need a striker in there, but it's some 5-a-side team. Let me tell you, and I think I might even put myself sub for that. But yeah, it's some 5-a-side team.
Another one, what he said. Yeah, another one, what he tells us to mention is about impressions.
No, I'm not doing any. I've told him already.
He's already told me.
I don't do them anymore. You get yourself in trouble. You got to be careful.
He's retired like he has.
I have. I've retired from impressions. I get too embarrassed, and then my missus says I'm shit. So Alison doesn't really like my impressions. She don't think I'm funny remotely. She's the only person that don't think I'm funny. So yeah, but yeah, well, she's probably right. Actually, bless her. But yeah, that's another thing. Just doing comedy and stuff like that. That's the thing I miss more. Just the camaraderie of the dressing room. It's so good to be back. It really is. It really is. You don't get much camaraderie on a golf course. You can't fucking talk. But
you can shout for.
You can shout for, or mashed potato, or when someone shoots, or jam sandwiches, Geordie. My favourite one, and I watched it, and it got a great reaction, is obviously Xander Schauffele. Xander spelt with an X. And they were at some PGA tournament, and he's playing well, and he's absolutely piped his drive. And as he hits it, bloke behind's gone, X gonna give it to you. And he just turned around to him and he just went. he just, he was just like, yeah, that's a good one, that one. But yeah, so I was playing with my pal Ryan last night, though, so then he hit one and he parked it down fairway because I say, X, go and give it to you. Oh, wow, brilliant. Yeah, so, yeah, the game, you need characters in your dressing room, but characters that you can manage. But it's a tough game. It's a long season. When you look at it and you're in Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, you're spending more time with these people than you are your kids.
Yep.
And sometimes your partners or your boyfriends or whatever you've got. And it is. You've got to have a smile on your face. And these characters of the game, like your Mark Levers, like your Carl Bradshaws and your Midges and Paul Smith, you need them. You need them to keep you going. Because some of them coach journeys are long journeys, especially when you've not won.
Definitely. Yep. Is there any coach journey where or away game where you'd sort of say, oh, no, I'd love to relive that one?
Yes, absolutely. We beat Stafford Rangers away 2-0. We were underdogs. And at this time, we were at Alfreton. And you could put a bet on. So we used to send us friends in, literally, to the bookmakers in Alfreton. And I had 20 quid on Carl Bradshaw to score first. Because Braddy was starting up front. But he's always been, well, he's not. He's one of my heroes, to be fair. But he'd always been a right winger. But for Alfreton, as his career, like most people do, you take a step back, and he was our right back. But we'd got some, I don't know if it was Mick at the time, God bless, somebody was injured. So Davy Lloyd had said, Brad, as you're playing up front, because Carl could still brilliant on the ball, hold it up, could still score. And so we're playing. We get a free kick after about 20 minutes. Short free kick. Bradders plays it in, lays it back, bends it straight in the top bin. I don't know who celebrated more, me or Carl, because he was 20-1. So I just won 400 quid. And coming back, for some reason, Braddy, as Braddy is, decided that he'd bring a box of fireworks. So we sort of pulled up for a piss somewhere. And we started letting off these air bomb repeaters in Staffordshire under this sort of, sorry, Bradley, if I'm getting you in trouble here, but we were just letting fireworks off on the side of the motorway, just being daft. And then we had another brilliant coach journey when we beat Pickering away under Chris. And we got back to Sheffield and we were all well lubricated. And we decided to offer the firemen out at the fire station, which was fairly fatal. One ended up in a flower pot. I don't know where I ended up. Probably in a bush somewhere hiding or in the piano. But yeah, we got to the fire station at Junction 31 and we decided to offer all the firemen out, which was a fantastic thing to do. We won on the pitch, but I don't think we won off the pitch. But yeah, just some really memorable ones. Works Up were always great. Pound a can on the bike from Lyndon Whitehead and Gav Smith. Yeah, you'd finish up having 10 of them and you'd be at the front of the bus, and that's where I learned to do impressions, and I was doing impressions and singing bloody Ronan Keating and everything else like the coach Jester. But yeah, like I said, you'll see the smile come on my face whenever I talk about non-league and the experiences. I miss playing. I do, as much as I hated it when I did. I do miss that buzz of seeing your supporters and, you know, playing at home and the roar and just the adulation you get, because now obviously social media shows that adulation for players, whereas back in them days people had to tell you personally. There wasn't the Facebooks, there wasn't the Twitters, there wasn't anything else. And you know, I can remember, I think I would have been one of the first players to ever have in non-league a person have his name on the back of the shirt. So I can remember a lad at Alfreton having Hindley 11 on the back of his shirt, and it was like, wow, it just, Jesus, you know, non-league's really taking off. And then a couple of Ilkeston fans, they had Hindley 7 on the back. After they gave me the shirts, I've still got them. So that was really, really touching. And that's when I started to think, you know what, I just love non-league. It's the working man and the working woman's football, and the kids, they can meet their favourite players and they can associate with them, and people care about them, and you can add them on Facebook, and these players will wish people happy birthday, and it means everything to them. It just is. It's a proper community, and that's what I love.
It's fantastic. I just want to point out, obviously, you've been in non-league for some time over the years. Who would you say has got the best fans that you've come across in the non-league game? Which club, if there is any?
FC United are brilliant. You know, the songs that all right, it's a fabricated club, and I ain't got time for that. I've got accolades, and I can doff my cap to the achievements that they have had. But I love Ilkeston. I always will. It'll always be my club, my fans, along with Retford, obviously. But the Ilkeston fans travel in numbers. You know, the Works Up fans were great. You know, they were great when I managed them. They've dwindled away a little bit. I think they've just been fed up of certain things. But for me, yeah, FC United, when they're in full voice, are a phenomenal group. But for me, Ilkeston will always be my fans and my sort of club, along with Retford and along with Works Up. But yeah, the Ilkeston fans, when you get them singing, it's a fantastic place to be, and an unbelievable setup, chaps. Yeah. So if you've not visited, get yourself there and go and have a look.
I'll have to send you a link to when I did visit, mate. I thought the fans were class as well on that day.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
And I mean, that was a funny title race in that league last season. Ilkeston, Chase Town, and Hales Owen. I thought Chase Town were going to do it just because they in the big games they'd done it basically.
Well, that's why your manager tips up, and that's why Gandy's one of the best in the business. Martin, you know, he's won stuff at Baseford. He knows. He's a wily old character. Is my man Gandy. He's a brilliant manager and a brilliant person. And when it needed to get a tune out of him, he did. And he got him promotion, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And obviously, Ilkeston, you know, again, another club that have been higher than where they once were.
They'll get back to where they need to get to. They've got great owners. You know, you walk through them gates now, that, in my opinion, is a better ground than your Accringtons and some others.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got the potential of certainly a solid conference ground there.
Yeah.
So I think with the investors, they've got a great manager. It's a great catchment area. You know, you've got all your Notts, your Derby area. So any good crop of player that gets released, you walk them through that doors of Ilkeston, they want to play there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key as well. The catchment area is very, very strong. Birmingham, Leicester. So yeah, I'd certainly put my money on Ilkeston to race. Maybe not this year. I think it'll be a tough league this year that they're in, but this or next year, they'll be in the Conference North.
Yeah. So we've had the best. What about the worst?
Worst players, Jas.
Fans.
Fans. Frickley, Vile.
Okay.
Yeah, not a fan of that place. Not a fan of it as a player. Not a fan of it as a manager. Just not a place I enjoy going. I think, you know, Frickley by a mile. Vile place. Sorry if anybody disagrees, but if you ask any player, it's just not a nice setup. Not nice, particularly punters. Frickley by a mile. That's me being hated now by Frickley fans. I don't care. Vile, horrible place.
That's some bad experiences, I'm guessing then.
I just don't like the ground. Don't like the fans. Don't like anything about it. To be honest. Once not burning down. That sounds terrible. But what Frickley do is with the fan base, which is solid, they need somebody to come in and really sort it out. You know, it needs a 4G pitch. It's got the infrastructure. It's just one of the grounds where I could never play on that pitch. I could never play well there, and used to get quite a lot of nasty abuse from their supporters who are ex-miners and stuff, so they don't mess about. So I'm probably going to get filled in now tomorrow. But no, I'm just being honest. Not a problem with supporters and everything, but just a tough place to go. Yeah. I won't put the Frickley supporters on my Christmas card list.
Fair play. I was going to ask you the best and worst ground, but I think we heard it.
No, Frickley's up there. When you're talking about proper non-league grounds, because Frickley are very, very good and a proper non-league club. You know, yeah. I could.
I did really like the stand personally when I was here.
You really did.
I like the big stand. Yeah, I like the view.
It's all right. It's all right. It's a bit like how can I put it? You know, you've got Alton Towers, and then you've got the fun fair at sort of Cleethorpes. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Other people have invested in it and made it nice and comfortable and clean and everything else, and then you've got that like rickety Ferris wheel at Cleethorpes that's hanging on by a thread, but still people decide to go on it fearing for their life. But Yeah, listen, it's all right. Best. I've played everywhere. Football League wise, probably Everton. Goodison Park was good.
Yeah.
Non-league. Trying to think now, really. Gainsborough was a great pitch when I played there.
Lovely ground as well.
Yeah, Gainsborough was such a great wicket and well looked after and always held up well in winter. Because I've played so many, it's hard to just go that one. But I think from teams that I've played for, I'll tell you what, Worksop, when Pete took Worksop over, Pete Whitehead, and that, in fact, I'll stick my neck out now, Worksop was the best surface by an absolute mile. It was unbelievable. He had so much work done to it. It was a football league pitch. That's the company that he got in to do it. It was So I'd say the Worksop wicket of probably 10 years ago, excuse me, 7 or 8 years ago was the best around. Yeah, definitely pitch wise. Yeah,
It'll be a lot smoother now.
Yeah, you are.
Be a lot smoother now, I bet.
Yeah, it will. Absolutely. And they're another side that will go on to be very successful this year. I think looking at my old clubs, I think Ilkeston will do really well. I think Stocksbridge are going to find it tough. I think Ilkeston will do really well. Listen, and I'm sure Pete won't mind me saying this, and people at Ilkeston, even to Retford to a degree, it's all about money.
Yeah.
You have to have a good manager and you have to have people there for the right reasons. But the people who pay the most money and have the biggest budgets win the league. Simple as that.
Yep.
Premier League down. Simple. So you either, like I said to you earlier, you either play at it or you play it or go home. And we've got some great people in football at the minute. Nick, Pete Whitehead. There's some really, really good chairmen that are willing to put them. Wayne Bradley, as always, put his money where his mouth is, and you get success. You do. And I think Worksop will have a great season. I think Ilkeston will have a great season. I'm just talking about my old clubs. I think Gainsborough will do okay. I think Frickley, I don't really look. I think Stocksbridge will find it tough. I think Hallam will have a good season. I think they'll be top 8. I've had that many clubs. I think Belper will do really well. I think Blackie's got an unbelievable setup there at the minute. He's really getting a tune out of them players. So I think there'll be another. So I'm quite hopeful that I think all my old clubs will go really, really well this year, and I hope that they do. Wishing them all the luck in the world, and I want Jas to do really well. I hope he does, because there's not many more harder working managers than Jas. He's a brilliant guy. He's a football man, and I love him to bits, and I wish him every success this season.
Good, mate. Yeah. Just out of interest, is there any ground, this applies to the Football League and non-league, that you'd never played on that you wish you had?
Yeah. Emirates.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Emirates that you loved?
I go past it on the train and I just look at it and think that surface is just. I spoke to Ryan France about it when he was there with Hull. I think he said the same. You just look at that wicket; it's just fantastic. The stadium's a proper football stadium. Don't get me wrong; there's other places. Listen, if I could play on any ground in the world, I'd like to play Borussia Dortmund full. Yeah. For the atmosphere. So if I'm looking at a pitch, I'm saying the Emirates, and if I'm looking for atmosphere, I'm either playing in the Boca Juniors derby. For atmosphere, or Dortmund Bayern. I think at Dortmund, I just love that cop. I just think, wow, it just seems to go on forever. But but I must admit, for everything, for sort of atmosphere, pitch, stadium, I think I'd like to play at the new Tottenham ground.
That is a fantastic stadium, to be fair.
Just looks amazing. So yeah, what have they called it? What's it called?
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah. So
I've done the Skywalk. I recommend it.
Have you?
Fantastic, mate. Me and my brother did it. Did the tour, and I was like, "Come on, we got the Skywalk, bro." He weren't that bothered. And then the woman who was on the till came out, so I said, "Oh, you regret if you don't go." And he's like, "Oh, go on then." Well, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And so did I. I thought it was fantastic.
No, I think that's me. I think for overall stadium chaps and everything, it would be the original Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think it's just nobody's coming with enough money to name it anything else.
Don't know why they don't just call it the new White Hart Lane, personally. Same place with the other one.
It is indeed. Played there, White Hart Lane. That was all right.
That was a great stadium as well.
It was. I've played on there, and then I've been to watch Sheffield United. We got pumped 2 or 3-0 in the Premier League under Warnock.
Yeah.
I think it was Berbatov that night. Just what a footballer. Ridiculous talent. Ridiculous. I like the thing with Berbatov and Gary Neville, if you've never seen it, where, you know, he just said, I weren't lazy. I was just intelligent.
Soccer box, is it that one?
That where he sits in what looks like a cinema room.
Yeah, watching games, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But my favourite player of all time is Rui Costa.
Portugal, Rui Costa, AC Milan striker.
I always used to model myself on Luis Figo as well. I had the sideburns and everything, and then I sort of adopted this Beckham thing, and then started whipping balls in and taking free kicks and everything else. So yeah, I think I tried to get a mix of Beckham and Figo, and finished up with, well, for me, I was trying to think of a funny name between them, more like David from Peckham, but yeah, I tried. Yeah. But I think I entertain guys, and that's the biggest thing. You know, I get reports come up to me now on holiday and in grounds, and you know, they're so complimentary. And I think, you know, if you're going to leave a legacy in anything, if it's professional football or whether it's your job or charity work or whatever, I think with the amount of stuff that I won in non-league and the career I had, I think I'd like to think that I've left a legacy on a lot of big non-league clubs. And you know, it's nice when people come up to you and give you a cuddle and say they remember this or they remember that. And yeah, I just think you don't realise what I was doing the night before, but yeah, I can sort of remember it. I can remember the girl, but not the game. Anyway, remember the bar and the wine, but I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the game.
One thing I want to sort of touch on, you said before about just a couple of riders what got to do with the initiations. What was your go-to song when you was doing them?
What will it be tomorrow? It'll probably be Elvis related. If I Can Dream. I've been practicing it on holiday. So I think it'll be If I Can Dream by Elvis, which is a really poignant song. And if anybody out there hasn't seen the Elvis film yet, please go and watch it. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. So yeah, I've run out of Cats' Lives of doing Ronan and Tom Jones and stuff, so I need to go a little bit left field. So I think it'll be If I Can Dream by Elvis Presley tomorrow when I have to do it. I'm only doing it if we win. If we don't, they can do it naked in the middle of the pitch. Yeah. Can you get away with that nowadays?
One thing we'll wrap it up with the final question. We ask everyone, if you could sum up football, it could be 3 separate words or a 3-word phrase. What would it be?
I can't be sexist here because I can't put both in, but the working man's game, and that's you know, I've seen my dad struggle. And luckily, we knew somebody on the gate at Sheffield United, and then my dad went on to work for Sheffield United that used to lift me over the barrier. So I got to watch my heroes like Carl Bradshaw and Brian Dean. And I just think that, please, you know, give non-league a chance. And you'll be so surprised at, one, the level of ability, but secondly, the ability to talk to people and meet people. You know, in a football ground, you sit next to the same bloke week in, week out who slags the same player off. You know, and it becomes mundane and monotonous. Whereas non-league, you can sit to certain levels. You can sit and talk to opposition fans, and you can meet new people and new friends. And you know, I'm not going to name the gentleman in question because you know I don't really know the guy, but I've been reading of somebody who goes up to Hallam that's suffered severely with depression, and he's found a new lease of life, becoming a volunteer up at Hallam and selling season tickets and really getting involved in it. And I think, that's when it touches me. That's when I realise that non-league's the best game in the world. Listen, you know, we can all be Phil Foden in the playground, or as I was, Robbie Fowler or Beckham or whatever. I'm 99% sure, of not being rude to anybody's kids, you're not going to be them. They're them. But what you can be is you can get close to these players, and you can follow them on Facebook or Instagram, and they'll probably follow you back, and you know, they'll wish you a happy birthday, and they'll give you a cuddle after a game, and they'll give you a fist bump and an high five, and that's enough for me. That's why I think that everybody should give non-league a try, whether it's your local club or even Sunday mornings, whatever it is. You know, people are giving it their all, and when you start to get to the real heartbeat of a non-league club, you realise just how hard these people work. And like I said earlier, not all heroes wear capes, but they tend to be wearing a club coat of a non-league club. That's where your true legends are, not the players, not me, not the manager, not the people that allow you to have that football club. And that's the brilliant volunteers in non-league.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What a message.
Put it there ourselves.
Finish it off with as well.
No
Great
problem.
message.
No, my pleasure, gents. Anytime.
Oh, it's been fantastic, Ryan. Thank you, and thank you.
Good time to finish. I'm empty. Let me just tell people, this was a Man of Match award from 20 years ago. It's vintage, but no, I'm not an alcoholic. It's just to settle the nerves. I never sleep well before a game, and I never really tend to sleep after one. But yeah, all eyes on the prize, gents, and I hope I can catch up with you during the season or at the end of the season, and we can celebrate the successes that we've all had. But yeah, for me, thank you very much for having me. Wishing you nothing but love, and hopefully you can get to a couple of games and come and see us.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I'm only just up the road. Like I said, currently living in Worksop, so it's not far at all. So I'll try and get there when I can. Good luck.
Welcome, Ben. Thank you.
Good luck for the season. Hopefully it starts off with 3 points tomorrow.
Good luck with the Wisewood girls.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. God bless.
Been the FANA Fan